Hello, and thank you for joining me here on So Stitch Hex. Today, I was going to talk about where I started my magical journey. I get a lot of questions on my channel and on my Instagram about when did I start becoming a witch? Like, what did it? Was it part of the trend now? Or, like, where was I inspired? And the truth is, I've practiced since I was very little. So, in the early 2000s, like, between 2004 and 2006, I think it was, I was in elementary school, and this is the first spell that I really remember. It was a spell to do with the weather, because I remember people talking about something to do with, like, there wasn't a lot of rain, and there was, like, a really bad drought or something going on, and, like, I was really little. I was in either 4th or 5th grade, but, you know, that's still really little. You really don't know anything when you're a child. And, like, I Googled, like, witchcraft spells, like, real witchcraft. I was just Googling, like, what is this? Like, I didn't really know. I didn't pick up on any specific paths at the time either. Like, I didn't really look at specifically Wiccan because it sounded hokey. Like, even, I'm a very skeptical child. And I'm like, I really want to believe this, but I also really don't think it's true. So, I looked around and I found a couple things that I was inspired by. And then I made a little spell for myself. I was little, so I wasn't really, I had candles, but, like, I didn't have candles. I had, like, 1 or 2 Yankee Candle kind of things. They weren't Yankee Candle. They were, like, some other brand, but same difference. And I would go get a lighter, because I knew where the lighters were. My mom smokes, so, you know, it's not hard to find. And, like, I lit a cute little candle in my room, and I remember it was nighttime. It was, like, super late at night. I believe it was before Halloween, but it was in the fall. And I did a spell asking for it to rain. Like, that was all I did. I was just kind of like I needed it to rain. Like, we need to feed the grass. And, like, basically I went and I had some grass from outside, and I just kind of, like, tore it to pieces and, like, dropped it outside of my window, which I'm allergic to grass, so I really shouldn't do, because, like, the more I play in grass, which I do all the time, but, like, sets off my allergies, causes me to, like, cough and sneeze really bad, and just starts problems, breathing problems, essentially. But basically I wanted it to rain. There ended up being a really bad storm at some point around that time. I think it was around 2004. I may be wrong, because I didn't really write it down. I didn't keep as good of track of time as I did once I got into middle and high school. Then I would write down, like, day, time, everything, like, got the date, know what day of the week it was, where I was, like, location. But, I remember that was the first time I did, like, real magic. And then from there, it would be in middle school, so before 2010, I would do little things like binding my bullies to try and get them to stop picking on me. And I did try to come out of the broom closet in middle school. I tried to tell one of my friends, and, like, they said it really loud. They were like they're a witch, or they think they're a witch. And there was already people who joked around thinking, like, oh, well, she thinks she's a vampire, or she's like this. And it's just because I was goth, and I live in a small town in the South. So I was just like, yeah, I don't know what the hell he's talking about. Like, I don't know. So, like, I realized that I couldn't tell anyone. I mean, I told my best friend, and he was okay, I guess. I gave him an example of what happened when I would do little spells, and some of them worked out. Like, some of them were like, well, if I do this, then something's going to happen that's probably negative, so, like, I try not to do that unless it's, like, super serious. And I was like, what happened? So I did it, and they got hurt, and they were like, okay, I believe you, but, like, also fear. And so, like, I just did intuitive things that just felt right. Like, I did take inspiration with the binding from the craft, the original craft, where they were like, I bind you, Nancy, from doing harm against other people and harm against yourself. And I would just wrap, like, a white cloth, because I think it was a white cloth. It was either white cloth or it was white electrical tape around a little puppet, kind of, that I made for them. But I took lots of inspiration from, like, pop culture when I was younger. And I remember when I was, like, really little, like in the very, very early 2000s, like when the first Harry Potter movie came out, I kept really I was really excited because I really wanted to be taken to Hogwarts. Like, I thought that would have been the coolest thing to be like, you're a witch, come on. But as I got older, like, I had the thought, even before I hit, like, the age, I was like, I'm probably not going to get taken to Hogwarts for the basic fact that this isn't in America. And it seems like other countries don't really like Americans, so Hogwarts probably doesn't have, like, an American foreign exchange program. So I was just like, but that's okay. That doesn't mean that there's not witches here. That just means that they didn't get to go to school. Which, if they didn't go to Hogwarts, then their witchcraft wasn't regulated. Which, to a little kid, that was like, okay, well, that's fine. That's whatever. Once I got into the, like, middle school, so it would have been in, like, between 2007 to 2010, I decided to get some books. So I worked with my mom's little cleaning business, and I got a little bit of money here and there, and I had a Bank of America card at the time, which I hate Bank of America. They will try their best to take any money they can from you, even if it's, like, a child. Like, they don't care. So, like, I do not like that, like, bank at all. But I got 2 little books. Like, I did research, and these seemed to be legit, so I got them. So these are some of the first books I ever got. There was White Spells for Love by Ilana Abrev, and her other book, Love Spell. Well, there's White Spells and Love Spells. Sorry, I read them backwards. So both are white spells, but, like, they're really cute. I got them, you know, as a child, and I read through and was like, I really like this. And, like, you're thinking, why is a child getting love spells? Because I know that love is complicated. And I know that I really liked all the love stories that I read as a child. Like, I would read, like, Fairest, and I would read various, like, reiterations of Cinderella and all kinds of other little stories. And I knew that there was a lot more to love than we brought out. And, like, this book focuses on not just, like, romantic love, but also, like, self-love. It talks about how to get over breakups and the ending of any kind of relationships and love and healing. Like, there's, like, whole little sections, and, like, it wants you to practice, like, feeling good about yourself. And I thought that was a really cool thing that I found when I was a little girl. Like, of course, like, I'm, like, at the time, I'm probably, like, 12, maybe 13 when I got my first card. So I probably got these around between 12 and 15. And the other book that I got when I was younger was this one. It says, it's the Good Spellbook, Love Charms, Magical Cures, and Other Practical Sorcery. Open this bewitching handbook of ancient contemporary gypsy spells, recorded by journalist and astrologer Gillian Kemp, and discover the secrets of the supreme practitioners of the mystic arts. And, like, it said it was like $15, but I remember getting it off of, like, eBay, because I bought stuff off eBay, which when I was young I hated eBay. Now that I'm older and I know how it works, I love it. So I got this, and it's got a really cute, like, aged paper style. How it looks like it's written in, the way that this paper's made, how it has lists and all kinds of, like, little things. There's little color page inserts, but, like, the way it makes it look like text, like handwritten text. And so, like, these are the spell books that really got me going. I, of course, had the little bit of, well, not the little bit, but the more intuitive nature of my craft, because I was very interested in it, and as a child, I believed in myself. And I did what I did. As I got older, I got books, and I didn't really trust books all that much, because, like, there's so many things that could be so hokey. I was very skeptical. So, like, that made it really hard to just learn. I did try to go out and find, like, I looked at ghost hunter groups, but I wasn't sure I was into that. I looked at vampire hunter groups, but I was too young, and I didn't really go out when I was younger. So, like, I didn't get to try those things. I was interested, but I didn't really do that. So, I know those are other valid things, and some people have got to experience more, like one-on-one training with people when they first start, but I didn't have that opportunity. So I learned from my intuition, and I did start at a young age, just kind of doing what felt right. If I did something and I needed to pluck my hair out, burn it, or to put a whole bunch of random stuff mixed together and then just put it into the earth and just leave it, or burn it. I like to just write it down and burn that. That's a lot easier. That was my go-to when I was younger. But I would do more complicated stuff as I got older if it just felt right. When I got to college, I was looking into more things, but I was still afraid to look at books. I was still afraid of what I could read, of what I could do, and until I had this really bad relationship in 2016, really bad ending, I should say, because it was a really bad time. It was just a bad time. Everything that happened was just explosion, and it triggered me being I need friends. So I went and I was like, what's something that I like? Witchcraft. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'll get murdered, but I went on a Yik Yak and was just like, hello, anyone in the area of my college want to do witchcraft? And from there, I found people who were more experienced than me in practical sense and in the more sociable sense. And they were like, here's some books, here's some teachings that I've learned from my family and from my practice. And I'm like, see, I haven't learned from people, but I know things. And the hardest part is learning terminology, which is where books come in handy. It's I still don't know all the words, and I still don't use the same words as everyone else. And that can be a real barrier when you're trying to communicate with other people. It can also make everything seem either villainized that you do, or just improper and kind of lesser in some way. So that's where not reading books, kind of witchcraft books, put me behind. But my journey still started when I was young and led by myself, and I'm really proud of where I've came. I'm glad I got to experience being around people, and I'm glad I've got to learn that it's okay to just read a book and just take what you want from it. If you want to read a fantasy book and take a spell from it, you can do that. You just have to, do it. You have to put the work into it to make it real. You have to put the energy and the concentration to make it your own. With pop culture and with anything. So that's just kind of a little bit about where my path started for anyone who was wondering. Because a lot of people do ask, and my answer is usually when I was a little girl. Because we did have this thing in my family that's just different members of my family will just know something's going to happen. It's a premonition, and they'll just oh, so-and-so's going to call, and then they do. And you're okay, well, that's nothing. It's a coincidence. Then you'll have someone who's oh, they're gonna, so-and-so, heard of someone, was killed on the TV, and they're gonna find the body over here, probably. I'm just guessing, but, and then it happens. You're that's super creepy. Oh, it's a coincidence. And then you have someone who says, oh, well, you did me wrong, just drop dead. And then they do. And then you're oh, Lord, that's a coincidence, but a weird one. You keep adding up coincidences, and you just know, intuitively, your family has some, seer, qualities. It has some, foresight of their own. They can just get a little bit. And it's passed down in the family. So, even though no one puts a name on it, you can still see it. So, there's the aspects that are intuitive. There's the aspects that are, I guess, genetic. And then there's the whole process of finding your own and stepping up on your own. Because I don't think that my path is any more valid than someone who's been practicing for 30 years versus someone who's been practicing for 2 weeks. Congrats on starting. I'm so proud of you. It's great. There is nothing, no one's path is more valid than yours. It does not matter how long you've been doing it. As long as you believe in yourself and you do the work, it doesn't matter how long you've been practicing. It doesn't matter how long you've had your traditional training, because yes, traditional training is valid, and I really do think it would behooves some people to look into expanding their horizons beyond their, like, provincial lives, as Belle would say. Oh. But it's very important to remember that you are your own, and, like, don't feel invalidated. Don't put your own practice on a pedestal and think it's the only right way, because it's not. It's the wrong way and it's the right way. It's right for you, but it's wrong for someone else. And I feel that we should all remember, whenever we talk about our paths or when we look at new paths, that there's so much more than just what we have. I was assaulted by a bee. He landed on my nose. But how valid your path is how valid you make your path. Don't let anyone tell you it's wrong, but remember that it's not going to be 100% right. And that you have to look into it and you have to expand. Like, I'm constantly thinking that my path isn't right or that I'm not doing enough, and sometimes I'm not. But then you also have to think about, what are we going through in our daily lives? Because the traumas that we face in our daily lives and the trials that we have to endure, the social toxicity and the societal, like, struggles that we have impact our spiritual development, and they can stunt your growth on your path, or they can empower you to look farther beyond. And so it's a big thing to look into who you are and who you were and who you're going to be. And know that no matter how you do it, it's okay. So I just kind of wanted to share my, I guess, humble beginnings, starting from, like, a little girl with, like, 3 books and a fantasy from, like, a fantasy world that just gave me hope for no reason, to someone who's older and who has gotten some more training and who's gotten certifications and who's gotten to meet the community a little more and who has more books than she knows what to do with. And to say that no matter where you start, no matter where you end, it's okay. And I'd love to hear in the comments below about your journey. Where did you start? Have you started? Are you just watching this randomly because you saw, like, the thumbnail or because you saw my channel? Or did you see the link somewhere on social media? We do have a Facebook and a Patreon and an Instagram. I will link them below in the description. I would love to hear your stories of where you started or how long you've been practicing. So I know there's the whole dilemma of, I've only been practicing for a year, I don't feel valid. No, just shut up. Just do your job. Just do what you're doing. You're doing great. You're doing fantastic. I'm so fantastic because I've been going for 30 years. Congratulations. That's great. But there's more than just time. There's experience. There's passion. There's so much more. So, alright. With all these things in mind, I'd love to hear about your experiences, and I'd love to hear what you think about my humble beginnings, as, like, secluded as they may be. And let me know what your first spell you've ever done is. Alright. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Bye. See you next time on Sosta Checks.